From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for the debate.
Welcome back, friends. It's me and Niranjan filling in for Arnab Goswami. He's back soon, but we have a problem, friends. You and me and India. And that problem is called President Donald Trump. And the reason is, in the morning, there is a different Donald Trump than in the evening. The post that he makes today is different than the one he made yesterday on the issue of India, on the issue of India-Pakistan ceasefire, on the issue of India buying Russian oil. And in this kabhi ha, kabhi na, our diplomats have a task at hand. Remember, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is in New York to participate in the United Nations General Assembly, and we are discussing an address made by President Trump himself. While, of course, it was aimed at every corner of the world, including a teleprompter right there in front of him. But so far as we are concerned, it's back. The pendulum has swung back to the earlier position, which was troubling, not just the tariff part of India-United States relationship, but the larger equation as well. In that UNGA address, President Trump mentioned again that he got the ceasefire done between India and Pakistan. Not only that, he repeated his charge that India is bankrolling Russia's war. Thankfully, he brought in China also, and that's our focus. Are we back to square one with President Trump? Niranjan joins me.
Well, there's one problem, though, Abhishek. Now, we don't know whether Trump meant it, didn't mean it, because he didn't read off a prompter, right? And for the first time, when he was forced to go extempore, he has mentioned India-Pakistan ceasefire, and this comes after a long time. Now, the entertainment part of this entire speech, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, we just ended a few minutes ago, almost a 90-minute speech. He was allotted about 10 to 15 minutes, took about 90 minutes. Donald Trump has attacked India not once or twice, several times in his speech. Here are some of the excerpts of what the US President said a short while ago.
This war would never have started if I were president. This was a war that should have never happened. It shows you what leadership is, what bad leadership can do to a country. Look what happened to the United States, and look where we are right now in just a short period of time. The only question now is how many more lives will be needlessly lost on both sides. China and India are the primary funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil. But inexcusably, even NATO countries have not cut off much Russian energy and Russian energy products, which, as you know, I found out about 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't happy. Think of it. They're funding the war against themselves. Who the hell ever heard of that one? In the event that Russia is not ready to make a deal to end the war, then the United States is fully prepared to impose a very strong round of powerful tariffs, which would stop the bloodshed, I believe, very quickly. But for those tariffs to be effective, European nations, all of you are gathered here right now, would have to join us in adopting the exact same measures. Likewise, in a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to get them solved. Some were going for 31 years, 2 of them, 31, think of it, 31 years. One was 36 years. One was 28 years. I ended 7 wars. And In all cases, they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, a vicious, violent war that was, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan. It included all of them. No president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. And I did it in just 7 months. I mean, you're much closer to the city. We have an ocean in between. You're right there. And Europe has to step it up. They can't be doing what they're doing. They're buying oil and gas from Russia while they're fighting Russia. It's embarrassing to them, and it was very embarrassing to them when I found out about it, I can tell you that. They have to immediately cease all energy purchases from Russia.
Joining us on the debate this evening are Ambassador Deepak Vora, former diplomat, Peter Kuznick, is anti-Trump. He's an American but opposes Trump primarily. Will be joining us. Aina Tangen giving us the Chinese perspective today. Nikita Menkovich from Russia. He's live from Moscow. He's the head of the Eurasian Analytical Club. And I also have Alexander Sajan who will be joining us. He's pro-Trump, GOP grassroots strategist for the Republican Party. And Purnima Nath is also on the debate tonight. Backs Trump. Essentially, I want to start with your Ambassador Deepak Vora. I don't know what's going on with this man called Donald Trump. I don't know whether you had the chance to listen to that speech fully, but I had kept the best for the last. There was a clip where he attacked the teleprompter. He attacked the escalator at the United Nations. Do we have that soundbite? If I have that soundbite, I'd like to play that out. But I'll give you the first chance. Ambassador Vora, this was hilarious what happened at the UN today. But the news point, he goes back to square one vis-a-vis India.
All right. Thank you very much. As always, a pleasure to be with you, sir. And I'll be waiting to learn from the other panelists whose knowledge is much more than mine. This man is a supreme geopolitical arsonist. By the way, he believes that it takes one to tango. You don't need two. He's rewriting all the rules of international geopolitics. Now, some people say that we should have handled Trump better. In fact, Trump should be handling India better. All the provocations have come from him and the sycophants around him. You know, his cabinet members, this goes back to the time of the mafia. They compete with each other to abuse India so that they think that this is going to win them brownie points with President Trump, whose mercurial nature is well known. Let me conclude and leave the floor to the others with just one point. Our relationship with the United States is the most important that we have. Their relationship with us is not the most important that they have. Therefore, we are at a disadvantage to begin with. It's an extremely important relationship with us. We are reluctant to destroy, which is why we haven't hit back when he has used foul language against us and his sycophants. We haven't done it. Now, what happens if his anger has run its course? Possibly he will end yet another war, which is between President Donald Trump and himself. That will be the 8th one, and he should get a Nobel Prize for that. But I certainly do believe that we are in a position today where we've made it clear that we're not going to hand over our foreign policy to the United States.
Okay. Since we are yet to get Peter and Alexander on the panel, I want to go to Aina Tangen and start this, bring in the China view also. Aina, you heard President Trump making that UNGA address. Your quick takeaway. I mean, he put the blame squarely on India and China for bankrolling Russia's Ukraine war.
Well, for a 15-minute speech, he went over 90 minutes, and he certainly had enough vitriol for everybody. It's not just India. He's said climate change is a hoax. He doesn't like anything to do with immigrants, etc., as he's shown by putting a $100,000 tax on H-1B visa recipients, of which 73% are Indian. I don't think you can mistake what he's doing. I'm surprised that the ambassador is so open, saying, well, it's an important relationship, but it's only important if the United States values it. And you can say that Trump is one person, but he's been elected twice now, separate terms. And quite frankly, he has moved bookends. There's not a lot of difference in his foreign policy between him and the rest of the Republicans, so you can expect more of the same. But this was like a campaign speech that he would generally give. And remember, behind all of this, he is desperate to change the narrative on the Epgate, the Jeffrey Epstein files. He's losing it in his own party, his own base. They are rebelling against him, and he will do almost anything to change that narrative.
Okay, Peter Kuznick is with us. Peter, you heard Einar. He says that this was campaign speech. This was Trump essentially addressing his MAGA constituency, and it essentially was a rant against the rest of the world.
Yes, I caught the end of the previous speaker, and I thought what he was saying made a lot of sense. This was, as with everything with Trump, a totally unorthodox speech. No other president in American history would make a speech like this at the United Nations. It was Trump talking to MAGA world. It was Trump's grievances, but he added some new grievances. I hadn't heard that riff about wanting to rebuild the United Nations.
Escalator,
they turned him down.
I'll lead
into it some moment.
It was a typical Trump, how great I am and how bad the world is. And if they only listen to me, the world could be great like the United States. But it was full of Trump's usual lies, his exaggerations, and his hostile attitude. Now, India is a particular target of his now. And as we saw with the H-1B visas this week, that was targeted India, the 50% tariff rate against Indian goods. Another example, but we see the world is moving a different direction. I don't know if Trump sees that or what he sees and understands, but at the SCO meeting, when we saw Putin and Modi holding hands and meeting with Xi Jinping, we see what's happening with the BRICS. We see what's happening with the Global South. Much of the world is simply, if not ignoring Trump because he's hard to ignore, they're looking for new kinds of trade relationships, new kinds of alliances, a new kind of world order based on different security parameters as well as economic relations.
Okay.
And so Trump is really, a distant, solitary voice, but one who is being behind the scenes laughed at, but they're afraid of him because he's got so much power.
Yeah, but the sad part is, I mean, you see, but there are these MAGA supporters, Purnima Nath, I'm assuming is one of them. I don't know whether she still is, but I'd like to get your perspective on that. Purnima, you're there. The Indian diaspora, hit, attacked, humiliated by Donald Trump and his MAGA supporters, right? It's pathetic. I mean, a few days back, we were here in the studios saying Trump has reached out. He had reached out. And the Prime Minister reciprocated. This is a madman. I'm sorry, but America has a madman as president, right? And then we have many people like you, Purnima, who think Donald Trump is a great president. Do you think he's a great president?
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Namaskar. First of all, you mentioned about MAGA. So let me tell you what MAGA was to me. MAGA was making America great again by making sure our border was secured. Our people had the opportunities, and also we have law and order. There was no way in the earth I have ever thought that MAGA meant, or America first actually meant that America supreme, American hegemony, American supremacy, and they can literally bomb boats in international water. They can dictate what other countries are going to do. They can dictate who they're going to do business with. And I'm sorry to say that MAGA was never that. This is not what I've supported. This is not what I voted for. This is not what I campaigned for. And you would see me speaking out very loudly about it. And I'm also getting the flack of the so-called maggot world, and I call them maggot MAGA cultists at this point of time. And unfortunately, sir, I did not see this coming. This is not what I supported. So when somebody says that I was part of MAGA, absolutely 100%, no doubt. But this is not what I supported. The what President Trump and the maggots are actually doing today is a shame, is pathetic, is absolutely insulting to every single individual in the world if you are not an American. And sadly so, Americans are saying that even me, somebody who has supported President Trump 3 times and voted, campaigned, and brought Hindu votes to the MAGA fold, the Republican fold, they're calling us non-American, they're calling us to be ousted, they're calling us we are not American patriot at all. This is where it has come down to. So I'm ashamed that I've supported something that they actually led us to believe that we are doing something right. They lied, they deceived, they literally trashed the major supporter, a minority like us, sir.
That's a big thing you are saying, Purnima Nath, in fact. I think you spoke from your heart, Niranjan, right? I got a sense that she's speaking from her heart. But is this the message that's getting lost somewhere in Washington, D.C.? Before I can, get in the Russian voice, I want to go to Ambassador Vora once. Ambassador Vora, are the 2 Washington DCs we are dealing with? One at Foggy Bottom and the other at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is the White House. Is it that in the morning, for example, or last night, we had Secretary Marco Rubio and the Department of State posting that this is a critical relationship that the United States has with India. And by evening in DC, by morning in DC and evening here, you have President Trump again, bringing in the issue of India-Pakistan ceasefire and India's purchase of Russian oil. Just yesterday, we had the H-1B visa issues. America, of course, the White House, of course, knows that it hits India the hardest. And then just go back 5 days back, and we had that kind of what seemed like a detent happening, with President Trump pulling back, not mentioning India, Pakistan, praising Prime Minister Modi, wishing him on his birthday exactly 5 days back. Ambassador Vora, you think there are 2 Washington, D.C.'s conundrum that we are dealing with?
That's a brilliant observation. I was posted there, and even then, there was a lot of fog generated by Foggy Bottom that engulfed the White House. I do remember when we were there, we deal with the Foreign Office, with the Secretary of State and his fellows. But by the time it reached the White House, it had an entirely different sheen to it. So you are quite right that the system there is the president has overweening power. Whatever Secretary Marco Rubio might say, he will not dare to offend the president because his job depends on it. And the president is very mercurial. So and what I see now is competitive attempts by his cabinet members to abuse anybody they think the president would want to be abused. That's what seems to be happening at the moment. But you're absolutely right. The rational part of Washington, which I believe has been the Foreign Office, and I've always appreciated the caliber of their diplomats. And then there is a very personalized, mercurial system of the White House. Total chaos. That's what's happening. But the White House, as always, wins. It has greater power.
Okay, let's get the Russia view now. Nikita Menkovich. Nikita, you must have heard the speech made by President Trump. He targeted India, he targeted China, he targeted Europe, said that if Europe continues to purchase Russian energy, it's embarrassing. I mean, it cannot be allowed. And then he, of course, had a harangue against NATO and the low budgets, which he got corrected. Nothing about Russia. I mean, you got a free pass, Nikita.
In my honor opinion, the thing we should do about Mr. Trump's speech is to ignore it. Because you see now Mr. Trump, as an American president, can change very few things and means very few things. Because he acts now like a dreamer from the White House. He said, I want sanctions to be implemented. I want tariffs to be higher. I want India to act this way and this way. I want all of you to think that I finished 7 long wars in 3 days. It's only dreams of Mr. Trump. I think most of us know such people, old retired men who like to discuss politics, but don't even understand what are they talking about. In Russia, we talk such people bequests. Now, Mr. Trump does act as a typical bequest. He's an old dreamer who is watching the world policy and think, this thing is not right. I want to be this and this way. The difference is only that Mr. Trump have an access to United States to make his speech public. But I don't think that this position will mean a lot for Russia or for any other country. India itself did ignore Trump demands, and what happened? Nothing terrible, nothing dangerous. It means that Trump and United States now may be ignored.
Okay.
Century of the West domination of the world is over. Now new countries, Russia, China, India, are the main forces in the world. We should decide and discuss problems, but we don't must to think what Trump is or United States think about it. It is not their business. It's up to us.
Yeah, you know what? There's some breaking news coming in, Abhishek. By the way, Donald Trump has just tweeted. It's been 20 minutes since his speech ended, but he's tweeted out already. And Donald Trump says, it was a great honor to speak before the United Nations. I believe the speech was very well received. I don't know where it was, how he's gauging it was well received. It's just been 20 minutes, for God's sake. 20 minutes! And then he says, it focused very much on energy, migration, immigration. I've been talking about this for a very, very long period of time, and this forum was the absolute best from the standpoint of making these two important statements. I hope everybody gets to watch it. First he says well received, then he says I hope everybody gets to watch it.
I think he's Aina was right there. This is essentially he was making a stump speech to his MAGA constituency.
Absolutely. And then he says the teleprompter was broken. The escalator came to a sudden halt as we were riding up to the podium. But both of those events probably made the speech more interesting. Let's listen into that soundbite. This is a crazy guy as a US president. I'm sorry, Purnima. My apologies to you, Mr. Kuznik, as well. You have to bear with him for 3 more years. But here's what he said. Listen to that soundbite. He actually said it. Take a look. Take a listen.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter.
All right, Peter, is this about the United Nations? I mean, that's a different debate that United Nations is ineffective. It's not a new one. It's been there for a while. It's just a talk shop for the diplomats to be parroting their own agendas. But is this really about United Nations? I was just wondering, escalator not working, teleprompter not working. Just a while back, there has been a massive security operation, in New York, and a network has been busted by the Secret Service, which involved about 300 servers, 100,000 SIM cards, aimed at compromising the communication security of the United Nations right under the nose of American agencies like CIA, FBI, Secret Service, DIA, whatnot. Is this about a broken American system more than about United Nations, really?
Well, sadly, the United Nations has not been able to play the role that it should be playing, partly because the U.S. has been exercising its veto over Gaza. The U.S. had cut already $1 billion of funding to the United Nations. It's considering cutting another $1 billion in funding. Trump is trying to undermine and effectively neuter or destroy the United Nations. So it's very sad. But Trump gets on there with his grievances. In the United States, we're sick of hearing his grievances, which we've been hearing, and then he combines that with his retribution. And his campaign, my Russian colleague can ignore what Trump says, but in the United States, we can't really ignore him because he's imposing his own form of fascism here in the streets, in the courts. He's taking powers that no other president ever dreamed of taking, and he's doing this in a way to cut the social programs for the poor people and working people, and to cut the taxes for the billionaires. So we're facing a very, very serious problem in the United States because you've got a Congress without a backbone and a Supreme Court that goes along with anything, rubber stamps what he wants. So this is quite serious for the United States, but it also has broader implications for the world, because what he's pushing the Europeans, he bragged about that he convinced the Europeans to increase their military spending from 2% of GDP to 5%. President Eisenhower in 1953 made a great speech which he said that every dollar spent on jet planes, on bombers, on weapons is a dollar that's stolen from the people for building schools, for building highways, for feeding people. I wouldn't celebrate this increase in military spending. I decry it as the world going the wrong direction. But that's the world, the dystopian world that Trump envisions. But it's not. If you look again at his approval ratings in the United States at the 6-month mark, and again at 8 months, they're lower, the lowest of any president in U.S. recent history, except for Trump himself in 2017. So, so that's why Trump is looking to figure out ways to cancel the midterm elections and to cancel the next presidential election and to run again, because he knows that if the American people have a say in it, he and his party are going to be tossed out on their ear. This is not what the American people want. And as we heard before, even MAGA supporters now are embarrassed that they voted for him. So there is some signs internationally of hope, but even in the United States, what he represents right now is so dangerous, so destructive of American principles, American ideals, which I've always been a critic of, but at least other presidents tried to stand up for what they thought the United States represented in the world. Trump doesn't give a damn.
Yeah, we had two MAGA supporters. I mean, one MAGA supporter has found her calling. Finally, her soul has spoken. I have a second MAGA supporter on the show, Mr. Alexander Shajan. He's very, very pro-Donald Trump. Mr. Shajan, welcome to the show. And, I thought you would change your mind after Trump imposed 50% tariff. You didn't. I thought you would change your mind after his comments on India buying Russian oil. You didn't. I thought you would change your mind after Trump's H-1B visa move. I don't know whether you are still a MAGA supporter. Can you please declare your allegiance on the show, sir? Please.
Well, it's almost 30 minutes. I was really not going to come on the show, okay?
Right.
To be very...
Thank you for being with us.
Yeah. Okay, but because it's a very one-sided show, trying to bash the President of the United States.
Why not?
And the United States. Okay, listen, Niranjan, I specifically told Niranjan is going on a one route, and I was not interested to come in the show. Okay, if you let me speak, I will speak. If not, I will thankfully go, and I can come back anytime. We can have some consensus. But if you cut me in between, I'm leaving. I have no offense, but I don't want to bring a fight, okay?
I haven't said a word.
Okay, let me finish. You give 30 minutes for anti-Trumpers, anti-Americans, pro-Gaza, pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas people. Can I finish? The only person that I have respect in this panel who speaks the truth very clearly, I mean, if he agree, we agree to disagree, is Ambassador Warren, okay? So I don't care whatever he says, because that's a pure disagreement. So if you give me time, I will talk, because 30 minutes...
Go ahead, Alexander, go ahead.
Haven't said a word. Sure, go ahead. Yeah, you've been speaking, brother. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to take my time and so I'm going to start with where the last panelist said. Let me make. I did not change my mind yet, okay? Because I believe the tariff issue with India is going to fix soon.
Right.
H-1B visa is not going to affect India.
Right.
And whatever I denounced, whatever anti-Indian statements that harshly came out of the cabinet members. I denounced it in the previous shows. I did not support that. So my stand with making America great again, it still stands there along with making India great again campaign by Prime Minister Modi. Okay, I am still there. So my allegiance to make America great again and make India great again has not changed.
What about your allegiance to Trump?
What is it?
What about your allegiance to Trump?
Well, I am a naturalized US citizen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Republic. I don't pledge my allegiance to the President of the United States because it comes and goes. It changes, okay? So I support President Trump, yes, for the decisions he make, for the strategies he's made to make America great again. I do support, I'm still a hardcore supporter for that. That is not changed until if he proves that everything that he's doing or everything that he signs on an executive order is going to be against the United States, I will stop my support that day. Until then, I am a
Alexander,
supporter.
but Purnima has already done that. Purnima has already changed her mind.
Purnima has changed her mind.
That is her choice. That is her choice, Mr. Abhishek. That is her choice. That is her decision, and I agree with that. I value that. We saw a cold-blooded murder by an anti-American transgender leftist guy, lunatic guy, on a young man at the age of 31. Who indicts those violence? And nobody is debating on that. No world is debating on that. Let me finish, ma'am. Let me finish that. After you can say whatever you want. So nobody is talking about. Okay, Niranjan, go ahead. Let's talk. But I need my time. You can go ahead. Yeah.
I want to ask you: did you, Alexander Sajjan, ask anybody in the American media to pick up the murder of Naga Mallaya, who was beheaded by an immigrant? Did you do that? It was Republic TV. Sir, listen to me, sir. It was Republic TV and not Republicans. It was Republic TV that went to that motel in Dallas, and we reported from outside the hotel in Dallas. We sent a reporter all the way from here in Delhi to Dallas. I want to ask you, what did you do there when an Indian American was beheaded and his head kicked around a motel?
Are you done? Are you done? Can I finish now?
Yes.
Who made a public comment other than the President of the United States of America strongly condemning that heinous, violent act on that guy in the Dallas motel? Other than the President of the United States of America, he himself called that out, and he said he is going strong on that case. What more you need? What more you need? So every time, any chance the media gets
My
to bash,
question was different. I said, did the American media pick that up?
I did not
Did
say American
the American media pick that up?
No,
because
I
American
didn't
media
say
does not
Indian.
give a damn about Indians, sir.
Niranjan, I did not say Indian media. I said the media across the world. They were not talking about it. So what I was trying to say
I assure you, we reported it. We reported it.
You did.
I don't know about American
did.
media, but we reported it.
You did. I didn't say you did not. You did, and you guys supported it, and you broadcasted the live. I agree with that. I'm not talking anything. This is not a me versus Republican TV or Niranjan versus or Mr. Kabul versus Alexander debate. We are talking about what is happening right now. Okay, so I expressed my feeling in the very first minute that I felt like this was a one-sided show, and that is where So let me come back to where my previous panelist talked. He said, so I made very clear on, Niranjan, are you clear about my stand on the MAGA and make India great again thing? Am I very clear?
I understood that you're not a Trump fan, but you are forced to support Trump.
No, I am not forced to. I choose to support. I am not forced to support. I choose to support for what he did and what he continuously doing for the United States of America, where I've been living for last 25 plus years. So when you asked me, I pledge my allegiance to the president, I said, no, I pledge my allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. That is where I stand. So I'm just ending it there because we don't have enough time to go to my other point. The previous
No, we have enough time, but we'll come back. We have enough time. Don't go anywhere. We have enough time. We have another 20 minutes.
Then again, I have to make this point, and you can discuss on that. In 2026, he said it's going to be a bad year for the midterm, or something is going to happen for the midterm. I'm asking him to go check the latest poll that CNN just broadcasted 2 days ago. On economic policy, Republican Party is up 7 points. On immigration policy, Republican Party is up 13 or 15 points. On crime issues, the Republican Party is up 21 points.
No. Fake news. Fake news. Fake news. Fake news, sir. Fake news.
Listen, Alexander.
Fake news.
You know, Alexander, since you mentioned, okay, go ahead, Niranjan.
No, you please go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Okay, no, I want to bring in Purnima Nath on this because Alexander believes come midterms, the picture is that Republicans are up under Trump. But Purnima, you were just a while back mentioning that the Indian American community's support to Republican Party might taper off, and that's going to have some consequences. I believe can have some consequences during the midterm polls.
It is going to be a sweep, Mr. Abhishek Kapoor.
About us, sir. And I'll tell you what is the difference between him and us. He's a Christian, a converted Christian in America, and I'm a Hindu.
Who are you talking about? You're talking about Alexander?
Today, yes, Mr. Alexander. Today, President.
How does that matter? One second. How does that matter? How does that matter? 1 minute, Purnima. Just for the sake of because you brought his religion in there, how does that matter? How does that matter?
I'll tell you. That's exactly where I'm going to. Today in UNGA speech, Trump called out that most persecuted people in the world is Christian. Could you please tell me who in the world actually survived for a millennium beyond Islamic invasion and Christian persecution? This is Hindus. Today in India, in America, the Indian communities are getting targeted. The Alexander, Mr. Drunk, Duncan, and literally a Senate candidate from Texas has spoken out. I didn't speak when you were speaking, Alexander. I will not let you disturb me. I'll not take my time. You've spoken non-interrupted for 10 minutes, and Mr. Kapoor.
No, Alexander, this is not done. Alexander, we've had a very decent debate. Einar hasn't spoken. Kuznik hasn't spoken.
And I'll not allow that. I need my time as well. He was speaking non-interrupted for 10 minutes.
Stop, please go ahead.
Mr. Niranjan, you have to keep quiet at this point of time. I listen to you very patiently. In America, you have talked about that our candidate, GOP candidate from Texas has actually targeted Hanuman. So you are, as an Indian community, you have no sympathy for Indian community, for Hindus. You have no sympathy what we go through over here. They're calling us shit eaters. They're calling us cow urine drinkers. They're calling us scammers, Indian scammers taking US jobs. You have no sympathy for the micro minority 1% who's successful in this country. And you're shamelessly saying that I am also GOP. I'm also President Trump supporter. I supported not once, not twice, thrice, for God's sake. I've also supported for the betterment of this country. And he actually promised to go after illegals. He actually went for H-1B. Is H-1B illegal? Didn't his wife himself come to this country in tourist visa, then applied for H-1B, then somehow got a genius visa? Oops. How did his grandparent come, Mr. Frederick Trump? He came here and worked as a barber. Did he bring $1 billion to invest in this country? How about Mary McLeod, his mother? Came to this country in 1930. Did she bring $1 billion when she was working as a maid, house servant in this country? Today he is imposing $100,000 to H-1B and telling every H-1B availer actually is a fraud in this country, and he emboldened his MAGA base to go after scapegoating Indians, especially the Hindus, that we are demon worshipper. Don't you have shame? Do you not have a shame?
Am I done?
I
Do
mean,
I have to stay,
Alexander,
Niranjan?
Alexander,
Of course not. I
Alexander.
want you
I have
talked
other
about guest
meetings that I
presence.
Let us
just
talk to
I'll
this.
tell
I
you,
came in
Niranjan and Mr.
between.
Kapoor.
I
We
just thought it
are
was you
making
and Niranjan
$3 in
Kapoorji. That's why I just
In
came in.
Milwaukee,
If I'm done, I
Okay,
have
one
to
second.
leave.
Can we please bring order? Purnima, I'm requesting you. Purnima, I'm with you. I request. I agree with you on the point that yes, there is a racist. What? I'm coming, Alexander. See, Alexander, I want to maintain the basic decorum. See, we may have different, very strong but different opinions.
We do. That's
Hear me out. I'm still the host of this show along with Abhishek. Last I checked.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I'd like to intervene right now to bring order. And Purnima made a point.
Do I have to stay?
Yeah,
My
with your
question is, do I have to
permission,
stay or
with
go?
your permission, I
have
want
a
to
meeting,
complete
that's
my
why.
point and bring in Einar Tangen. 1 second. Peter Kuznik has to leave. Einar, can I request you? I'll get in Peter. One word from Peter, and then he's leaving because I want to hear. I saw Einar's expressions. I want to get his view on that. But I'll go to Peter for 1 point. Peter, we have 3 Americas on the panel. We have an anti-Trump America on the panel. We have a pro-Republican, anti-Trump America on the panel. And then we have a pro-Trump, pro-Republican America on the panel, right? It's fantastic. It's good. It's good. Democracy is thriving in America. Or, sorry. Jimmy Kimmel was just kicked out. If this show was live in America, I'm not sure that we'll still be sitting here. But that's not the point. Point is, there is an element of racist targeting of Indians in the current administration of Donald Trump. Peter, you've been on the debate when one of Trump's closest aides referred to Brahmins, right? Now, he has no idea, right? He has no idea what that term even means. But the way they've gone after Indians, I agree to that point. I agree what Purnima said, because Indians, most of your top US companies are headed by Indians. We have, Alexander, I'm going to Peter, please, with your permission, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you.
Alexander, Peter has to leave.
Peter has to leave. I request you. It's a decent debate. I'll come back to you. I promise you. Peter. But there is an element of attacking Indians. There's an element of going after Indians in a very racial profiling manner. Peter.
It's not just Indians. Trump is demonizing all the minorities. What MAGA represents is not make America great again, it's make America white again. He wants to go back to the 19th century when you had the kind of immigrants who he liked, the Northern Europeans, some of the Central Europeans. He didn't like the Southern Europeans and the Russians and the Jews and the Italians coming here. That's not the world Trump wants. And so it's not just the Indians who are being attacked, it's all non-white peoples. And you look at the social programs, you look where he's sending the National Guard and the Marines. It's to go after the immigrant communities and the minority communities. When he says he wants a war against crime, it means a war against Black people in the United States and Hispanic people. So I'm sorry that my Indian colleague took so long to wake up, because when she goes back and looks at it, this is who Trump was from the very beginning. He jumped on the national scene by denying that Barack Obama was born in the United States. I mean, for years, he spent on that topic. So, I know that the Indian community is suffering now and waking up. And my other Indian American colleague had talked about those polls. Yes, and on some of the issues in the latest poll, Trump has got the plurality. However, American people despise Trump. Even because it's not just make America great again, it's make America cruel again. And the American people, like my other Indian colleague, did not think that this is what they were getting when they voted for Trump. And what they're seeing now is Trump unleashed, Trump's cruelty, Trump's attacks on poor people. And the thing about dealing with a bully, maybe my Russian colleague could ignore him, but what's essential is that the world stand up. The only way you deal with a bully is by punching him in the nose, by standing up to him. Once you start to compromise, once you give in, it only reinforces him. So I'm glad to see India. I'm glad to see Brazil. I'm glad to see China I'm glad to see Russia stand up to this guy because what he represents is a menace for all of humanity right now. And we're at a crucial juncture in terms of world history because we've got nuclear threats on the agenda of a sort that we haven't seen since 1962. And you've got the United States, reinforcing some of the backward tendencies in Europe. And this anti-China policy, as well as the anti-India policy, is threatening global security now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter, for that perspective. And I want to take this to Ambassador Vora and Einar first. Einar, I very distinctly remember the first UNGA address of President Trump of the first administration. That was in 2018. He really went hammer and tongs against China. He singled out China. It was just about China, China, China. It was a harangue against China. Compare 2018 with today. Tonight, President Trump targeted India, President Trump targeted China, President Trump targeted Europe, President Trump was essentially at the United Nations. He was, is this a very different America? Is this about the United States of America as much as it is about President Trump?
I think going back to my original point, Donald Trump is under tremendous pressure politically because of the Epstein case, and he's doing everything he can. But there are other parts to this. This is a gentleman who is now worth $5 billion more 9 months after being sworn into office. He also neglects to mention when he was vilifying China and India that the U.S. increased their purchases of yellow cake and strategic minerals from Russia by 28%. The hypocrisy is astounding. The fact that we're talking about these other issues, racism, things that we already know about Trump, is sad. We should be really talking about what's going on behind the curtain. The wealth that he's amassing, this kind of going after people, using the departments, saying that he is fair game to make enemies. And you're right. Your license of your television station would be under threat in the United States because you're saying something that he doesn't like. And he said that's what the FCC is there for. He probably would use the Justice Department to go after you personally, as he's done in so many other cases. So please, let us keep a sense of perspective. We can marvel at the kind of nonsense that he says, but in the end, we have to be looking at what he's actually doing.
Okay. Ambassador Vora, we began by discussing whether we are dealing with two Washington DCs. But is it actually about...
Coming to you next, Alexander. Coming to you next.
Coming to you, Alexander. I'll come to you. Ambassador Vora, your quick comments. Are we actually dealing with an America which is... Trump is just, representative of what's really happening in America, a different America in the morning, a different America in the evening, a different America in one post, a different America in another post?
You're probably right. I think it's a disturbed society at the moment. We see unrelenting gun violence. We see a lot of things going on in America that is not the America that I lived in and that I grew to love so much. There's something that has changed. Why would Trump be doing whatever he's doing? Obviously, there's maybe a method in his madness. It's very easy for us to revile him and criticize him and say the fellow is insane, he's this, that, and the other. Well, whatever he's doing, obviously he feels that he's on the right track. My own assessment, sir, given all this stuff that he has a narcissistic personality, he wants to be adored, he wants to be loved. He probably thinks that he himself represents America and that if he's loved by the world, America will also be loved by the world. And that if the world says, you are great, Mr. President, that means America is great again. That's my assessment of the way he's...
Okay.
Yeah, but sir...
Alexander.
Alexander. See, Alexander, every Indian, and I'll end by saying, and this is you can have the last word. I remember covering, Abhishek, I think it was 2019 when we covered the Howdy Modi. We all came there, right? There was a time when people would do, they actually did puja, hoping that Donald Trump comes to power, right? Contrast that to a few weeks back when people are burning effigies of Donald Trump in different parts of the country, right? But that's just, you see how far we've come. And hats off to you. I don't know. I mean, great. You have a view about Donald Trump. That's great. But you see the kind of damage he's done to the relationship between India and America. If you ask me, it's irreparable at many levels. I don't think India will ever trust America the way we did before. I don't think we can go back to that for a very long time. Alexander, last word.
Niranjan, you are absolutely right. That is the human nature. You know, I agree with you today, and I love you with all my heart. Tomorrow, I hate you. I want to see the worst from you. That's how human are. That's how human nature is. So
no, it's not.
Please do not come to the.
No, that's not human nature. Please, what human nature is this? Oh, which human are you talking about? Which human are you talking about?
You're talking about President Trump, Niranjan.
Mr. Trump said he hates his opponents. Mr. Trump specifically said he hates his opponents and he doesn't want the best for his opponents. He is hateful, sir. He is hateful. And we cannot ignore the vicious agenda he's actually promoting.
Can I finish?
You know what? I think we have run out of time. But the beauty is, Purnima and Alexander, that President Trump. Okay, 10 seconds.
10 seconds, Alexander. Complete your point. Then Nikita also. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Alexander.
No, I just have to make it very clear to her. She called me that I'm a converted Christian. Well, you know what? I will bring in a lot more Hindu Republican leaders than you, and they will tell you if the Indian Americans are being targeted or not, or they are taken care. So please do not bring lie when you come to a national channel like this. Please do not lie like that. That is not happening in the United States of America. Okay?
Well, registered Republicans, both of you.
No amount of spin is going to change this, okay? You talked about Chandra, Abhishek and Niranjan talked about Chandra Nagamalaya. I tell you, Fox News has covered it. Fox News has literally
nobody covered it. Because racist America can't deal with the truth. I'm sorry. Racist America can't deal with the truth. They don't have the courage to report the truth.
Yes,
and by the way,
that is your version, Niranjan. That is your version.
You know,
your version.
I should agree to disagree with that.
If you claim, I'm sorry to say, Alexander, but if you claim to be representative of Indian Americans, you're doing a damn pathetic job right now.
Violence going on in the United States.
Yeah, you can normalize it. You can normalize it. It's okay. You can normalize violence. That's fine.
Niranjan, you know, Purnima, listen to me, please. The beauty of this all is that while today President Trump has swung the other way and spoken about India, Pakistan ceasefire again, and India buying Russian oil again.
Nikita, last word. He's been waiting. 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Okay, I'm giving an opportunity again, Niranjan, because President Trump is not going to remain the same. He's going to swing again, and maybe we'll have another conversation.
10 seconds, Nikita, last word. Nikita, last word. Okay, 10 seconds. Yeah.
You see why we should ignore United States. These two guys from Washington should solve those problems at first. And before that, please leave us alone. Leave Russia, leave Ukraine, leave India. It is not your business. Solve your inside problem.
Yeah.
Discuss your problems, but leave us alone, please.
Okay. Trump mentioned everyone, he attacked everyone, but there's one thing that he forgot to attack, Abhishek. He forgot to attack his own country because they continue to do trade with Russia. And in fact, their trade has increased almost 23%. We keep talking about it. He forgot to attack America, or at least his trade advisors, on the continued purchases from Russia.
And the beauty is, Niranjan, that we'll get another opportunity. President Trump is not going to disappoint us because he swings from one way to other every morning, every evening.
Another headline then. We'll wait for that. Thank you for watching us on The Debate, for being with us. Arnab will be back on the show.
Thank you so much for watching.
Powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ डूबेगा नहीं
जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
बड़ी गाड़ी वाले ऐसे ही रैश चलाते हैं। अरे चुप, तुमने तो गाड़ी वालों को ही विलन बना दिया।
ये देखो,
Cubo dash cams. Get smart, get Cubo.
I choose a world where we dream, and the limit is the sky. And this world is my home where I'm living my best.
Mindfully crafted home decor fabrics. Sansar, a decode brand. Live consciously.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, ये हित तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा,
ओए, मेरी गाड़ी ठोकेगा?
पर गलती तो आपकी है।
मेरी गलती? तू जानता है मेरा बाप कौन है?
ये देखो, पापा और गलती दोनों याद आ जाएंगे। अब देखा किसने सिग्नल तोड़ा?
Cubo dash cams. Get smart, get Cubo.
विराज रायचन स्टील।
आपने वरदान स्टील का नाम सुना होगा।
ऑफ कोर्स। आप मिस्टर वरदान के बेटे हैं?
नहीं।
छोटे भाई?
नहीं।
दामाद?
नहीं।
फिर?
शेयर होल्डर। सही टाइम पे उनके शेयर्स खरीदे, तभी आज मैं यहाँ हूँ।
जो आगे की सोचते हैं, ग्रो करते हैं। डाउनलोड ग्रो फॉर स्टॉक्स, म्यूचुअल फंड्स एंड IPO.
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
ये बड़ी गाड़ी वाले ऐसे ही रैश चलाते हैं। अरे चुप, तुमने तो गाड़ी वालों को ही विलन बना दिया।
ये देखो,
Cubo dash cams. Get smart, get Cubo.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, ये हित तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, इशारा समझ ले। इशारा समझ ले। हवा में फिजा में नजारा में इशारे संग हो जा तू मेरे। इशारा समझ ले। इशारा समझ ले।
Last night, someone broke into Ishan's room. Well, almost. But Cubo AI stopped him with a loud alarm and alerted the mom.
Cubo smart security cameras. Not just record, it protects.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ, डूबेगा नहीं।
Powered by Century Ply Club Prime, रहो बेफिक्र।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ, डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
In the heart of the jungle roams the finest creature, and through the chaos of the sparkling city lights, I am reminded of the timeless valor of the majestic tiger. In life's wild journey, we have one shot to thrill. And when done flawlessly, we unwind and allow our spirits to rejuvenate. Royal Ranthambore, India's finest, yet.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for the debate.
It's an all-out political face-off between the Yogi government and the opposition over ban on caste labels across Uttar Pradesh. At 8:30 p.m. this evening, the system allowed former IAS trainee to make a complete mockery of justice and why we believe it is the right time to hold them uncompromisingly accountable. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I'm Sucharita Kukreti. You're watching The Debate. In a bold step towards caste-free governance, the Uttar Pradesh government has banned caste references in FIRs, arrest memos, public spaces, rallies, vehicles and signboards. It's following the Allahabad High Court's directive. All identification will now rely on parents' names. Instead of caste, Chief Secretary Deepak Kumar has directed immediate removal of caste symbols and slogans from police stations and official vehicles. Now, caste-based rallies are now prohibited, with authorities monitoring social media for compliance. Now, this landmark move, spearheaded by CM Yogi Adityanath himself, reinforces social equality and aims to reduce caste-based discrimination in administration and public life. Now, critics may question its reach, but this decisive action marks a clear commitment to fairness and inclusivity. It's a step forward in reshaping societal attitudes and curbing entrenched prejudices. Here's a report.
Uttar Pradesh government has prohibited caste-based political rallies. Following a court order, immediate removal of caste symbols, slogans, references from police station notice boards, vehicles, signboards, the cops have been asked to even monitor social media.
जो लोग विकसित भारत नहीं चाहते, जो लोग समर्थ भारत नहीं चाहते, जो लोग सशक्त भारत नहीं चाहते, वे लोग भारत को जाति के नाम पर, क्षेत्र के नाम पर, भाषा के नाम पर, तमाम वादों के आधार पर बांट करके, सामाजिक ताने बाने को छिन्न भिन्न करके दुश्मन को प्रेरित और प्रोत्साहित करते हैं, दुश्मनों को प्रेरित और प्रोत्साहित करते हैं। उनकी सहानुभूति किसी गरीब के लिए नहीं है, उनकी सहानुभूति देश के लिए नहीं है, उनकी सहानुभूति उन लोगों के प्रति होती है जो घुसपैठिए के रूप में भारत के नागरिकों के हक पर डकैती डालने का काम कर रहे हैं।
The decision comes after a September 16th directive from the Allahabad High Court, which asked the state government to curb caste glorification.
The Allahabad High Court has come down strongly against caste glorification. It has directed that caste should not be mentioned on official police records, arrest memos, except when the laws require it. It has also directed that caste glorification on vehicles, signboards should also be regulated because that approach is regressive and is against constitutional values. It has also asked the government to regulate the content online because oftentimes caste glorification can be seen as part of it. Following which, the Uttar Pradesh government has released an order where a detailed instruction on complete ban of caste-related language on signage, rallies and on police record has been banned.
Even before the directive, the UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath had warned of conspiracies trying to divide society in the name of caste.
अगर हमें विकसित भारत के सपने को साकार करना है तो उन षड्यंत्रों से हमें हमेशा सावधान होना होगा जो षड्यंत्र हमें बांटने का काम कर रहे हैं जाति के नाम पर, क्षेत्र के नाम पर, भाषा के नाम पर। याद रखना, बल, बुद्धि और विद्या में भारत कभी इतिहास के किसी भी कालखंड में कभी कमजोर नहीं रहा।
As expected, Samajwadi Party has hit out at Yogi government over the order, even though the state may have had very little to do with a court order.
अभी तक पोस्टिंगें हुई हैं और जो भेदभाव हुआ है थाने में वो जाति के आधार पे हुआ है और जाति के आधार पे होता है। तो हमें उम्मीद है कि खुशहाली आएगी और जब बीजेपी हटेगी।
जो खुद जातिवादी हैं खुद तो करें जातिवाद और दूसरों को कहें कि नहीं जाति आधार पर सामाजिक गैदरिंग भी न करें। ये इतना बड़ा अंतर विरोध है कि जिसका कोई सानी नहीं है।
Yogi government has acted upon a judicial order with the intention to eliminate caste differences in society.
नहीं, जो माननीय न्यायालय ने आदेश दिया है उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार ने उसके अनुपालन का आदेश दिया।
But is the opposition fearing an end to caste-based politics, which seems to be their lifeline?
I'm joined by Siddharth Yadav, national spokesperson of the BJP, author and political analyst Shantanu Gupta joins us on the debate. Ratnakar Tripathi, senior leader of the Congress party, joins us, and so does Dr. Pooja Mishra, national spokesperson for the Samajwadi Party. Welcome all of you. If I can begin by saying that it's a deep-rooted social prejudice, and if an effort is being made to curb this prejudice, I think it should be lauded. But why is it not being lauded is precisely why we are debating this. Now, if I can begin with Siddharth, if I can begin with you, caste politics, it's the reality of India today. And if I can say, every party, every political party is rooted in it. So would you be able to ensure today, and would you be able to tell our viewers today, that the BJP, especially because the Yogi government in UP is initiating this, that the BJP will not be holding any BJP, any Brahman Sammelan, any Kshatriya Sammelan, any kind of OBC Sammelan, to be taking the lead?
So, Charita, there is no doubt that caste is very deep-rooted in our society, but it doesn't, prohibit anybody from taking efforts or doing efforts in eradicating that deep-rooted problem. If political parties don't take the lead, then how will this happen in our society? True. Definitely, political parties are also a reflection of how the society works. But it is, and I proudly say this, it is the Bharatiya Janata Party and the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji who came out and said the Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas Nara. We were the first ones to take a step in this lead to say that we want a politics in our country which is inclusive, which includes everybody, which is beyond caste, which calls for a nation-first theory, which calls for everybody to think on the lines of how we can serve the nation. If those initiatives have been taken, and in furthering those initiatives, if a court order is being complied with, I don't find a reason why this should be debated. It was a court order. The government has come up with fantastic directives. These are the directives which are the need of the hour to solve the problem in the society. There is definitely, I don't think there would be anybody in the society who would come out and say that we should divide our society on the basis of caste. We should divide our society on the basis of, on the lines of casteism. Nobody should come out. But we are very sure that this is how politics
I absolutely
works.
agree with you, Siddharth Yadav. I absolutely agree with you. But why I'm asking you this, why my precise question to you was regarding the political rallies, because the court order is being worked upon by the government, but the court order did not really speak about political rallies, Siddharth. Now, the BJP government in Uttar Pradesh has gone ahead and added that. They're saying that there will be no caste-based political rallies, which means there will be no Brahman Sammelan. Am I getting that right? There will be no Kshatriya Sammelan. There will be no OBC Sammelan by political parties. What I want an assurance from you is that the BJP will not hold this. Before I go on to ask Pooja Mishra the same question.
So Charita ji, it is our government which has brought this directive.
Yes.
It is our government which is going to implement it. There is no doubt that if the directive is going to be there, everybody has to follow it, including the Bharatiya Janata Party, including the likes of all our leaders. So there is no doubt about it. It's an initiative, it's a political initiative, a societal initiative that it is being taken. It's a welcome-worthy step. The government had the courage to take such a decision. It's a decision to do away with the fault lines of our society, and everybody should come together. The Bharatiya Janata Party will take a lead.
Absolutely. Everybody needs to come together. So, Dr. Pooja Mishra, would you join hands with the BJP and welcome this step, because you're the ones who've always been accusing this government of discriminating on the basis of caste. So now they're taking a step which is to bridge this gap. Will you be supporting them? Will you be joining hands with Siddharth Yadav?
Firstly, good evening to you, Sucharita, and good evening to fellow panelists too. Now the BJP spokesperson said one thing, that BJP brought this directive from High Court. Either they can influence the judgment or where the BJP a party. As far as I know, BJP wasn't a party. And if he is saying that BJP brought this directive from High Court, it means he is agreeing that they can influence the judgment. Okay, that's another part. Now come to the casteism. Now you said that we have been alleging the BJP. We are not. The data says it. 23% increase in the caste-based crime in Uttar Pradesh since the BJP government come into effect. And do you know what is irony? The irony of Uttar Pradesh is that the Uttar Pradesh has a chief minister who is Mahan, and whole nation, whole